I used to avoid the gym for years when I was growing up. I remember up until I was about 18 when I finally started going. I wanted to get into fantastic shape for so long. I kept on thinking about it, but I never actually got into it. And a huge part of this was because I just thought that it would have such a huge time commitment. I would only be able to eat a really strict diet and I'd have to be in the gym 6 days a week. And it all just kind of seemed like it was actually a lot more than what would actually be enjoyable and what would make it worthwhile. If you fast forward a few years into my fitness journey as well, I also had a ton of periods throughout my journey where just going to the gym, I just used to dread the thought of having to go to the gym every day. It just felt like it was a chore and it just really wasn't that enjoyable. And I just started to kind of resent the gym. And what happened was it led to me having periods where I was completely stagnant, I would make no progress, and I really wasn't getting into the shape that I wanted to be in, even though I was consistently going. And a lot of it was just because I really didn't enjoy training. It wasn't fun anymore, and I just went through periods where just really wasn't that enjoyable for me going to the gym, and it just led to me having no progress. So in this video, I'm going to go over exactly how, even if you hate the gym, exactly how you can build your dream physique. And this is things that really helped me when I especially wasn't enjoying going to the gym. So the biggest issue and the biggest misconception with fitness right now is that in order to get into fantastic shape, you have to live in the gym and you have to go to the gym 6, 7 days a week and train for an hour at least each and every time. And then in addition to that, you have to be on a super strict diet where you're only allowed chicken and broccoli and you can't deviate from this or you won't get into fantastic shape. It's actually crazy how many people believe this, and it's a complete fallacy, it's a complete lie. If you're going to the gym 6 days a week, what's going to happen is your brain is just going to really start to switch off and you're not going to look forward to going to the gym at all. You're going to start to get in that period that I was in a few years ago where I used to really dread going to the gym. It wasn't something which I found enjoyable at all. I didn't look forward to it. And when I was there, I kind of just wanted it to be over. I wanted to get the workout done. And then I also found that throughout the whole week, I was just super tired and drained the whole time. A lot of my energy was kind of sapped. I was massively overtraining. I was stiff a lot of the time. And I just felt like I was less functional. And the whole process was just a lot less enjoyable. Also, having super strict diet, you don't also need a super strict diet either. You can really make a ton of progress eating virtually anything as long as you kind of have the right steps in place and you know a lot about nutrition. But these super strict diets where you cut down on carbs or fats, for example, they actually really backfire and they really hurt your progress. So the first thing you can implement if you really are dreading the thought of going to the gym and you think it's going to take too much time and effort and energy to actually get into the shape you want, the reality is you only actually have to go to the gym 3 days per week for 45 to 60 minutes per session. So straight away for most people, they think this isn't enough and that they have to train a whole lot more. They have to train double the amount of sessions. And this is actually completely wrong. And the reason why this is because your muscles need 72 hours to recover minimum. So if you're constantly going to the gym, what's going to happen is you're actually building up a ton of fatigue. If you're going to the gym 3 days straight or 4 or 5 days straight, like a lot of people propose online, you're literally bringing in fatigue from previous workouts into the next workout. And your ability to string together productive sessions where you can hit PRs, where you can build up your strength and muscle, is going to be severely hindered throughout this process. So what this means is that if you're overtraining, it's going to completely backfire. You're going to build up way too much fatigue, you're going to be tired the whole time, you're also going to be demotivated, and it's just going to lead to significantly less progress. If you just had 3 days per week to gym, this is really going to lead to your body actually being able to fully recover properly. It's also going to mean that when you go back to the gym and your muscles are fully recovered, you're easily going to be able to build more strength, to hit more PRs. It just kind of is going to start to make the process a lot more enjoyable. And I've found that this is a lot more fathomable for a lot of people when they actually understand the concept that you can make huge amount of progress on just 3 days a week. If you actually take recovery seriously, you sleep properly, and you're making sure that you've actually rested, given your muscles enough time, to recover before you go back into the gym, this is really going to help a lot of people to get into the gym in the first place and then also make a ton more progress at the same time. So how I'd structure this workout routine if I was to do 3 days a week is what I've been doing is I've been going and doing upper body Monday, lower Wednesday, and then upper again on Friday. So I found that hitting upper body twice a week is the quickest way to build on a ton of muscle. You're giving yourself enough recovery time, and 2 times a week has been proven to be the most effective. And then also just hitting your lower body once a week. You can still build a ton of muscle on your lower body. However, I found that going to the gym and doing lower body 2 times a week is actually going to lead to your lower body starting to build up and you build tree trunk legs which aren't as aesthetic, and it starts to overshadow your upper body. So if you can implement this upper lower split 3 days a week, then this is really going to help you. And also, you don't actually need to be in the gym more than 45 minutes to an hour. This is another complete lie. So many people talk about going to the gym for 60 to 90 minutes. What happens is over the course of this workout, you're just accumulating fatigue from the first couple of exercises, and all of these last final sets are actually counterproductive. They actually don't help you. So if you can just stick to 12 to 15 sets per workout, you're going to find that each and every set you do, each and every exercise is going to be super productive, and you're actually going to make more strength gains and actually build a ton more muscle. So one final point on this is that if you're only going to the gym 3 days a week, it's actually going to be so much more consistent. This is something which 90+% of people can actually stick to really consistently over the course of a few years. So if you're someone who's not going to the gym ever and you decide to start and you're going 5-6 days a week, and you compare this to someone who is going to start and they say, I'm only going to go 3 days a week because this is more sustainable, I can do this for the long term. Who do you think is going to make more progress over a couple years? It's obviously going to be that second person who just goes 3 days a week, because they understand that, first of all, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable and they're going to be able to just stick to it long term. Someone who kind of gets their hit of dopamine and decides they're going to go 5-6 days a week, they might stick to it for a few weeks, but because of this extra load on your body and because you haven't actually built up the systems to sustain this mentally, you're actually just going to quit really quickly. And also, first of all, that wasn't even going to help you in the first place. So this is why training 3 days a week is actually really effective. Building on this point, it's actually going to make it so much more enjoyable for you. So personally, I found that when I was going 6 days a week, this is the periods where I just hated going to the gym. I really didn't want to be there. And a lot of it was because I was demotivated. And when I was there, I wasn't actually hitting any PRs. I wasn't actually building any strength. And I was just going there and it just felt like a chore. And I wasn't actually, the benefit of me being there wasn't that great because I wasn't building much strength. So if you actually reverse this and you just go 3 days a week for 45 minutes to an hour, each and every time you go to the gym, because you're fully recovered, you're going to be hitting that PR. And what happens is this is going to set off that dopamine effect in your brain. It's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. And it's going to make you actually want to go back to the gym. Once you cut down the amount of trainings you do, because scarcity is linked to value, you're going to really start to value your training more. It's actually going to be more of a joy to train, and you're really going to start to look forward to it. So this is absolutely key if you want to stay consistent and if you want to get in fantastic shape. If currently you feel like the gym's too much and you don't want to go, just try 3 days a week and just stick to this and just see how your enjoyment and your motivation is going to massively improve. So another point on this is that if you can stick to this for 3 to 4 weeks, what you'll find is that once you've started to make those initial gains, it's almost impossible to quit. And the good thing about really being a beginner in the gym, and if you're someone who hated the gym and you haven't gone yet and you've just started, you're going to start to build gains disproportionately quickly. But this is because your nervous system isn't used to this additional stress from the resistance training, and it just leads to a ton of stimulus on your muscles, and you can really start to build muscle a lot quicker. So what happens is that I've found personally when I started the gym, those first 4 to 8 weeks were just so much more enjoyable because each and every week I was putting on a ton of muscle. You can put up to 5 pounds of muscle a week when you're starting the gym. So this is something which makes it so much more enjoyable when you start to see progress and when you get that positive feedback loop. It's actually going to make you want to continue going to the gym. The problem is that a lot of people don't actually start off and have that initial momentum. So once you've built up this momentum, you've been going to the gym a few days a week for a couple weeks, once you really start to actually take off, this is when it becomes so easy to stay consistent. And when you stay consistent and disciplined from seeing these results, this is what's really going to lead to long term you getting into that fantastic movie star shape. So one final point I wanted to talk about is strict diets. Now, this is something which is pushed onto a lot of beginners and a lot of people from the fitness industry. It's completely false. You do not need to have a super strict diet in order to build muscle, and it actually works against you, and I'll explain why. If you're someone who just has chicken and broccoli all the time, or you go on these extreme carnivore diets or keto diets, and you cut down fat and carbs, and you go heavy on protein, what's going to happen is you're going to be completely depleted of your energy sources. You need fats and carbs, and you need to have a balanced diet in order to actually keep your energy up. If you're someone who cuts these out, you're going to find when you go to the gym, you're going to be less motivated, your dopamine's going to be down, your serotonin's going to be down, and you're just going to have less energy, and everything is going to be less enjoyable, not only in the gym, but also in life, because you've got less energy if it's not going to feel as good. And also, the impact on your hormonal health of going on some of these extreme diets is actually quite extreme. It's going to completely tank testosterone. If you want testosterone to stay high, you need a balance of fats and carbs, which is going to really build up that testosterone in your system. So going on these super strict diets you hear about are actually really counterproductive. What you should do instead is have your maintenance in mind, and if you want to bulk, just go a little bit above maintenance, maybe 1 to 200 calories above maintenance, or if you want to cut, just go 1 to 200 calories per day below maintenance. And then make sure that you get 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. But once you've kind of tracked this protein and then the amount of calories you're taking in, you don't actually need to worry about fats and carbs. You just need to kind of make sure you're not avoiding them, have this balance, because you understand that if you do take these out, you're going to be completely replenished, and also you're going to get cravings a lot more, and it's just going to end to you binge eating eventually, which is really going to set you off in the wrong direction. So having that balanced diet is actually so much more productive. These extreme diets that people push on people, where you have to only eat out of, you can only eat chicken, you can only eat broccoli, and just have these super unenjoyable diets. This is what really turns a lot of people off from the gym. And actually eating like this isn't going to help you anyway, because it's not sustainable, and it's actually going to smash your hormones, and it's going to make you more hungry. So this is my advice if you're someone who's struggling with the idea of going to the gym because of the consistency and the discipline it's going to build, or because you just think it's an unenjoyable experience overall with the extreme dieting or the extreme amount of training involved. Just try having a balanced diet, and just try going 3 days a week. And I promise you this is going to make a significant difference, and you're going to see a lot of progress really quickly.